Hi there, how's it going? My name is Sergio and welcome to the Anima2D Basics of Animation tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at how we can make a basic idle animation for Steve, the game character I created in the Anima2D Basics tutorial. If you want to learn how to make your own character and set up the bones and stuff, you can go ahead and check that out. It's going to be in the description down below. So first up, we're going to need to import the package. This time the package comes with Anima2D and a few basic scenes set up. And today we're going to be using the one that has Steve in it. So the first thing you want to do is to just double click on the animation package and click, make sure all is selected, and then click import. Sweet. So the first thing we want to do is to get into the tutorial folder and then scene and then main scene. Okay, perfect. So here, let's jump onto the scene tab, and we can see that Steve is just as I left him in the Anima2D Basics. And the first thing we're gonna go ahead and do is change the background, because this blue is really ugly. So I'm gonna set like a kind of a darkish gray. And then here's the workflow that we're gonna be following today. First off, we need to set a pose. With the pose manager component, this will allow you to set up some basic poses that you can save and load so that you can start animating really quickly. Then we're going to create an animator controller and set up some animation clips. And the way animation works with Anima is we're going to be animating only the IKs and some key positions of key bones that will allow us to create the movement that we want. After that, we need to duplicate that clip and bake it. The baking process allows Anima2D to bake the position and rotation of the bones in the Unity workspace. That way we can deactivate the IKs and we take off that processing power for our game, from our game. So let's go ahead and add the component pose manager, and let's create a new pose. In the assets folder, let's click on new folder and poses, and then open the folder up, and I'm gonna call this bind. So let's go ahead and move the IKs into the position that we want them to be in. So let's select this gizmo for the transform, and let's move the arms in a natural position. Remember, this is the IKs that we have selected. So this is pretty close of how Steve would look if he was standing up. We can check it out in the game tab, and it looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and save and overwrite the pose and save the scene. Now we want to create the animator controller. So add an animator component and then go into assets and create a new folder, and let's call it animation. Open that up, and then let's create an animator controller, and let's call it character. Let's select the character game object and drag the character controller onto the component and save the scene. For the next steps, you want to make sure you have the animation tab opened. To open it up, you can just click window, animation, or Ctrl+6. Then let's create a new animation clip, and let's call it idle. Oops, I actually misspelled it. Idle. There it goes. Now the first thing we're gonna need is to set up some reference keyframes for our IKs. So let's move them around just a little tiny bit. Actually, let's click record first and then move them around a little bit on one axis. That way you get some keyframes in place. Let's move onto the half a second mark, and the way we're going to create the illusion of the idle animation, it's by moving down the hips on the y-axis. That way we get some up and down movement, and then we also want to move a little bit the arms so that it feels more natural. And let's move the head forwards a little. And there it goes. Now let's move on to the first second mark and copy the keyframes from 000 and paste them. Now Steve. So there it goes, there's your basic idle animation. The next step will be to bake the bones positions onto the animation clip. Now we can go ahead and exit from record mode. First, select the character game object and then window, Anima2D, bake animation. This will bake all the position and rotations of the bones across the keyframes of the IKs. And now let's exit record mode and disable the IK game object. As you can see, we don't have those IKs active anymore, which means that we can move the bones individually. However, if we hit play, there's our basic animation. So that was it for the tutorial. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.